While I was born a little bit too late for it, I absolutely adore the Atari age and still love the 2600 and its library of games. And there's a brand new collection called Atari Flashback Classics Volume 1, available now on the PlayStation 4. But does this collection have enough in it to bring in old fans and new ones to the Atari age, or is this one collection you're going to want to skip out on? The Atari Flashback Classics Volume 1 has 50 titles on it, 41 from the Atari 2600 and 9 from the arcade. All the games in the collection seem to play perfectly from their original counterparts, whether it be the 2600 games or the arcade ones. The 9 arcade titles include Black Widow, Centipede and Millipede, Space Duel, Lunar Lander, Pong, Liberator, Warlords, and Tempest, with easily of this bunch, Tempest, Centipede, and Millipede definitely being my favorites, though nothing is quite like actually using the trackball controller for classic Centipede in the arcade. This does a pretty good job with it. It actually kind of mimics both the fast moving of the trackball using the joystick, and then also has kind of more steady control using the D-pad on the controller, and this is consistent with all the games playing through them. I noticed with Pong in particular, it goes really sporadic, like if you were using the old kind of Pong controller, but if you use the D-pad you can get precision when it comes to moving the paddle in the game. On the 2600 side of things, there's a lot of things to like, but unfortunately I feel like there's a lot of stuff just thrown in to pad the amount of games included here. There's a lot of sports titles. They have not only a bunch of the real sports titles, which those of course play well, they also have the original Atari versions of sports titles like football. In fact, there's actually 3 football games alone in the 50 games in this collection. There's also a handful of the 2-player only focused titles like your Slot Racer, as well as Combat and Combat 2, though these are still a lot of fun to play with a buddy for sure. There's also a few of the board and casino style games, such as Blackjack, Backgammon, 3D TIC-TAC-TOE, and Slot Machine. And it's not to knock any of these particular titles, I just feel like as broad appeal will go for the games in the 2600 library, there's just a bunch here that necessarily aren't gonna set the alarms off of nostalgia and make people run to the collection. But there are plenty of games to enjoy that I think are a highlight for this collection, including Star Raiders, Yars' Revenge, Fatal Run, one of my absolute personal favorites and was really happy to see it here, Desert Falcon, and of course the big highlight, at least as far as I'm concerned, was the Sword Quest games, Fire, Water, and EARTHWORLD. One of the things though I absolutely adored about the collection was the inclusion of the manuals. You can actually open up the manuals for all the classic Atari 2600 games, including Sword Quest, and not only do they have the manual for the game, they also include the full comic, which I'm sure you can find anywhere now online, but this is just a cool little bonus extra to include with these particular titles. From the technical side of things, everything ran smoothly. Not only did the games play the way they should play, there was no other technical glitches or crashing of any sort. I do have to say, I am having a lot of fun with this collection. While I feel like there's just too many of those filler games, there's still a lot to love and a lot of nostalgia for those who grew up in the Atari era and maybe haven't kept their system or haven't bought one of the previous released Atari collections that have slowly come out over the years. I feel like one of the big draws though for others is going to be those arcade titles. Not only do you have the 2600 renditions of the games like Centipede, Millipede, and Warlords, having those full arcade versions is an absolute draw, I feel, for a lot of classic and arcade gamers who maybe wanted to play these games on the modern system. Atari Flashback Classics Volume 1 is available for $19.99 on the PlayStation 4, and it does feature a full trophy list and a Platinum trophy. Though honestly, I feel like the trophies focus a little bit too much on the arcade stuff and just a few titles in particular, instead of spreading it out and giving a lot of the games at least one trophy apiece. There's a lot of games in this collection that don't get any recognition as far as the trophy side of things is concerned, which is a bit disappointing. Whether or not this is going to be worth it to you is going to depend on your nostalgia, your interest in the Atari age of video games, and whether or not the games in this collection are going to pique your interest. I say in total there's probably about 10 to 15 of the 50 that I really like and can see myself coming back to this collection and playing over again. But of course, that's all going to be up to you with how many games are here. I'm sure there's going to be some people love and plenty that people are feeling like, okay. In the end though, guys, I'm going to be giving this collection a 7 out of 10. But with that, that's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.